Jai Swaminarayan, Jai Sri Krishna, Jai Mahadev, Jai Mataji, Jai Hanumanji, Jai Ganeshji. This is Sachin Karnik, and this is a continuing recording, continuing exploration on the controversial topics that keep coming up from time to time. And this is my attempt to give my viewpoint on this. So to begin with, many prayers to all the great devotees and to Bhagwan. And to all the sages and devotees for their blessings to complete this project. So this is the fourth recording on this topic, and I want to pick up where I left off, which is where Nilkanta Varani had written that letter to Sri Ramanand Swami, where he has described himself as a devotee of Sri Krishna. And this point is a very pivotal and fundamental and foundational point for many, many, many reasons. And I'm going to give you what those reasons are. And I'm going to request that anybody who is listening to this, please listen to the whole series. You can certainly give me feedback. I'll be happy to listen to what you have to say. Or if you have a different viewpoint or different ideas, I'm more than happy to hear what everyone has to say. But my request is to listen to the entire series. I don't know how long it will be. It is going to be quite long. It will be at least 5 to 6 parts. It might be even 10 parts or so. I don't know. It'll be as long as it'll be. But so you can understand my full thinking. If you listen to only 1 or 2 or 3 parts, you will not grasp my entire thinking behind this. So that is my humble request and prayer to all of you. Okay, let's begin. Jai Shri Swaminarayan, Jai Shri Krishna. Jai Shri Ramchandra Ji, Jai Hanumanji, Jai Mataji. Okay, let's continue forward here. So we talked about Nilkanta Varani writing this letter that is called Apathy. It is actually 3 letters. So it's one letter written by Nilkanta Varani, letter written by Muktananda Swami, and then the third letter is the reply to those 2 letters from Ramanand Swami. So that is called Tripatri. If you go through the letter written by Nilkanta Varani, which is in Bhakta Chintamani, what you will see this throughout there. He is in the role of a sadhak. Now, again, notice the word role. This is a perspective. It is a perspective that is held by many people in the Sampradaya today. That this is Bhagwan actually, the Supreme Lord, Supreme Entity, inside Akshar, or the final reality, whatever one believes it might be. That Supreme Reality, that Supreme Being with form, that is beyond Akshara Brahma, that being came in human form this way. And this is all a drama. This is one perspective. Now, those people who are not part of the Sampradaya and don't accept this, that is up to you. I'm not saying you have to accept this notion. If you want to accept it, it is up to you. But it is not something that can easily be understood by anybody right away. So that's why the foundation has to be created carefully and understood clearly. Now, if you look at Nilkanta Varani, he is writing this letter, and in the letter he is praying to Ramanand Swami for his blessings. He wants to have his darshan, and he is continuously performing continuously performing devotion of Lord Krishna. Well, there's a couple of really important points here. One point is that it shows that he is on a particular path of devotion. He has chosen the path of devotion with Ashtanga Yoga and all the other sadhana and everything else that he has done, fasting and all that other stuff. He has done all that. He is teaching, in one sense, by his own life, how to practice devotion, what the highest levels of devotion can be. This is one point. Another point is that he is in the role of a sadhu. He's in the role of a yogi, a sadguru. He becomes a sadguru eventually, like from a historical point of view. So he's showing what the progression can be for a sadhaka, because his life in so many ways is a beacon of light for all of us who are trying to progress further spiritually or in religion or in whichever way. So that progression is a further progression, and Nilkant Varni had asked Ramanand Swami after he had actually met him. He said that I know that you are able to give me darshan of Sri Krishna Bhagwan in dharana. Dharana meaning in a state of samadhi, in an intense concentration. He wanted to have that vision of Sri Krishna, this Nilkant Varni. This is the actual historical stuff that has happened. It's not talked about quite often, but it needs to be talked about because these are the facts only. Now, Ramanand Swami would keep this 18-year-old with him, and he gave him Diksha and named him Sahajananda Swami and Narayan Muni, 2 names. Narayan Muni is Muni means one who is a sannyasi, one who is a great sage, one who is deeply developed from within. That is the Muni actually. So his name is Narayan Muni and Sahajananda Swami. 2 names were given to him. And he would keep him with him while he's offering prayers to Sri Krishna, offering what is called thal, these different food items. And Ramanand Swami would actually see Sri Krishna Bhagwan take that prasad from the thal and eat that, and Nilkant Varni could see that. Not others could not necessarily see that. They may be able to, that I don't know. But that is what Diksha is all about. When Diksha is given, this kind of spiritual realization or experience happens in a heightened connection with God, in many ways the way you want God to be with God. It's up to you. You know, if you believe that God is only the divine light, that is called Nirakar, like Ramanand Swami's Guru Atmanand Swami believed that way, then that was the end for him over there. But if he wanted actually to say, no, I want to see God with form, that there is actually form, there's actually Goloka, there's actually Vaikuntha, there's actually Aksharadham, there's actually these divine places that exist, which are called spiritual worlds. So he wanted to see that, because it has been described by others in the scriptures also. So that's what happened. So Ramanand Swami gave him Diksha, and then after a while Ramanand Swami passed away, and this Sahajananda Swami was given the Gadi by the Ramanand Swami, that he's the head guru, which was a big thing to do at that point. Pretty much there were some difficulties that some people had in accepting him, but then, for whatever reasons that may be. But most of the people accepted him in that satsang, in that Vaishnava satsang that Ramanand Swami was running. And what started to happen what started to happen after Ramanand Swami passed away was that this Sahajananda Swami, he would not be sitting on that gadi. He would keep the sandals, the wooden sandals of his guru, and touch the gadi. He's just not going to sit on the gadi like that, because he's in the form of a sevak, of a servant of God, servant of guru. He's not going to impose like that. But what happened? He asked people, the devotees, to chant Swaminarayan. This is a mantra given by Sahajananda Swami. Right now, this is where Swaminarayan, the name or the word Swaminarayan, is introduced at this point. Before this point, this name is not introduced. All right, so let's be clear about that. So people asked him, what is it that you are asking us to chant? What is Swaminarayan? Is that a Vedic mantra? What kind of a mantra is this exactly? Because people are familiar with the past mantras. There's the Gayatri mantra, there's the Sri Krishna Bhagwan mantra, the Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. That is there. Sri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Sri Krishnam Tvam Gatir Mama. So many different mantras are there. Just Shiva mantras are there. Om Namah Shivaya. All kinds of Durga Devi mantras are there. Tremendous mantras are there, right? So where did this Swaminarayan come from? And what is Swaminarayan? What does it mean exactly? So at that time, what he said was that Swami meant his Guru Ramanand Swami, and Narayan is Bhagavan Krishna. This is the original meaning of this mantra given by Sahajananda Swami himself, and he also used to chant this mantra. All right, so these are just facts. These are just the facts. All right, so you'll see all the controversies that come about later on. But right now, if you were just looking historically, these are the facts. Now what happened here? With this mantra, people started going into samadhi. The same kind of samadhi that Nilkanta Varani himself had gone into after Ashtanga Yoga, without any Ashtanga Yoga, without anything, just by this mantra, hundreds and hundreds, thousands of people, and in animals also, would go into trance, into samadhi, and their body would become it would just be flat on the floor, on the ground, and they would experience the divine realms. This entire prakaran, it's called prakaran, meaning a particular phase, a particular type of activity that was conducted by Sajanand Swami, that is described in detail in Bhakta Chintamani in prakaran number 49, and I have begun a nirupan of that in Gujarati. I'll probably talk about that in English at some point. It's quite interesting, and I request you to listen to that if you understand Gujarati. If not, at some point in the future, that'll be done in English also. There'll be a lot of recordings in English as we move along. So, let's see. So, Sajanand Swami gave this mantra, Swaminarayan, because this is a mantra. Let's be clear. All right? Swami Narayan. It's a Shadakshari mantra, 6-syllable mantra, Swami Narayana. It is a mantra directly given by Sajanand Swami. Alright. Now, what happened here was that there were paramahansas and saints and sages and householder devotees and so many people at that time. They were going into this samadhi, and from that attracted a lot of people to come and see what this was. And these people who had never read the scriptures, had not done much sadhana or anything like that, went into these divine realms and described it very clearly what it was when they came out. Sometimes the samadhi would last a few hours, all the way up to 6 months. It could go on for extended periods of time. So this was a very powerful thing that happened. And then when people came out of that experience, they would see in the trance a form of God, or some divine form. In fact, they would see different forms. They would see different images, just based on their wishes, their sadhana, their beliefs, from all religions actually, and they would then also recognize that all of that they're seeing is coming from some main. From some one place, actually, from one form, and then that one form, where that is all coming from, is this Swami Sajanand. This was described in Bhakta Chintamani, and this was basically their experience. That this, of course, it was their experience that it is due to Sajanand Swami that this samadhi was happening, trance. But they also saw in trance that there is some original form of God. There is an original form of God that is the infinite, that is the final form of God, or the infinite, the beyond the infinite Akshara Brahma. There is that Parabrahma. Something like this is there, so this is, it's there in the scriptures, but it's not maybe as clear this way about this point. But there was a clear conviction that whatever they were seeing was happening due to this Sajanand Swami, that he was making that happen. And they would see him also, they would see Ramanand Swami also, they would see all the incarnations of God. So many things. The Jainas would see the Tirthankars, the Muslims would see the Paigambaras, the Shiva worshippers would see Bhagwan Shiv. So many things, it's so all of that would be there. Hanumanji and everything, Ganeshji, you name it. Every form of God that was there. Even Kala Bhairav Darshan was shown in there. So that's also in there. So it's really quite remarkable. So all of this was going on. And as all of this was going on, when people were coming out of it, they essentially recognized that this Sajanand Swami, this is not just a Swami or some saint or some Sadguru or some Nilkanta Varani like a yogi. He's something different from that. He's actually that supreme reality, that supreme final being with form, which is light coming out of the body, and it is truth, consciousness, bliss, Satchidananda Vigraha. That and all the other forms and everything else that they were seeing, they felt that he is the cause of all that. It's coming from him, or he's making them have that experience somehow. It's very difficult to understand how this was all happening. It's called Krupa Samadhi in the satsang. It is generally called Krupa Samadhi. By grace, this has happened. So God can take any form. So he took the form of Sajanand Swami, and then this is the idea behind it, as the manifested form in human form, and then this Samadhi occurred. And this was causing problems for Muktananda Swami. Muktananda Swami was basically saying, what in the world is going on? What kind of this magic is going on here? What kind of samadhi is this? What is this? He was not happy about that. He said, this is not how samadhi occurs. And he was thinking this young saint who is not just young Sajanand Swami, he'll break the whole sampradaya apart by doing this kind of this magical stuff or whatever he's doing. But but that Sajanand Swami said to Muktananda Swami that I'm not doing anything. People are just taking the name of Ramanand Swami and Sri Krishna Bhagwan Narayan, and they're going. I'm not doing anything. So he did not take credit for that. He did not say directly he was doing that, but he's the one who gave that mantra, Swaminarayan. And that's what he told Muktananda Swami. And then Muktananda Swami had some doubts, and then eventually Ramanand Swami gave him darshan and said, "Why don't you understand? That that Sajanand Swami is actually the manifested form of Narayana, and he is, and you should go to him and recognize who he is. So." So that's what happened with Muktananda Swami. He eventually went to him, and then he composed the arati, the original arati that is sung even in many Swaminarayan temples today. That is Jai Sadguru Swami. He composed that arati and placed this Sajanand Swami on the gadi, and then from that point onwards, everyone really accepted Sajanand Swami as a form of Narayan. He's a great Sadguru. Ramanand Swami's blessings are there. So this level of understanding began to happen after that mantra was given. So it also shows the power of the mantra, what the mantra is about. It is about transcendental realization. So there's a lot more to be said about this, but it is a mantra after all. And here's my request to anybody listening to this, doesn't matter who you are, from what background, experiment with this mantra. But my only request is, if you're going to experiment with this mantra, do the mantra, like seriously, please follow a diet that is vegetarian, give up alcohol, give up theft and these wrong activities. Just give those things up, because if you are eating non-vegetarian food or taking intoxicating substances and chanting this mantra, that is you can do that if you want to, but I would recommend not to do that. It is better because it is a mantra for higher realization, for the highest realization in some sense. But it's a mantra to elevate your energies further and further, beyond the Sahasrara Chakra, beyond the Agna Chakra, Sahasrara Chakra, into the Akshardham, into a higher realization. So, so the vegetarian diet and following celibacy and these things are necessary. But anyway, just saying the mantra a few times is not going to, that's fine. That's a good thing. But it is a mantra, remember. This Swaminarayan is a mantra given by Sajanand Swami. It was not his Diksha name. It was not a name given to him by anybody. This was a mantra, and then from that mantra, people at that time, the devotees at that time said, oh, the Swaminarayan that we are chanting, that is this being Sajanand Swami, so he is Swaminarayan. So that Narayan and the Swami is him. This was the idea that Guru Ramanand Swami, Bhagwan Narayan, that's the way he originally explained. That explanation or that focus on Ramanand Swami and Bhagwan Krishna then got transferred to Sajanand Swami. That mantra is he is Bhagwan Swaminarayan. This is where Bhagwan is manifesting as this Sajanand Swami, and then that is Swaminarayan. This is the idea, and this developed over time. So this was not something that just happened like that. That mantra was given. Sajanand Swami was also chanting this mantra, Swaminarayan, which people don't talk about. They don't talk about this fact, but it is true. He was chanting Swaminarayan, Narnarayan, Lakshmi Narayan. He used to speak these mantras himself. The Ashtakshara mantra. He was doing devotional worship. He was doing his normal puja every day in the morning towards Lord Krishna. All these things he had maintained. All that. The temples he built, he installed. He installed Lakshmi Narayan Narnarayan, Radha Krishna, all these forms of Krishna Bhagwan are installed in the 6 temples that he built. Right? So he did all of that for multiple reasons, and one is to really show the significance of the Sanatana Dharma, and then on that basis to really give to the devotees and to the public at large his manifested form, who he is. And if you see in Vachanamrut, you will see again and again, he keeps using the word Pragat and Protection, a manifested form in front. Because at that stage, whatever stage that may be, whatever, again, we cannot imagine, but he is saying, don't imagine what is God, keep your attention on me. Whether as a Sadguru, or as Bhagwan Narayan, or holding Sri Krishna within, or as the Purna Purushottam Bhagwan, however people were understanding all this thing, keep your attention on me, because essentially what he's saying is, I have what you want. I am living in that state that you want to go to. So in the form of a mukta, he even said, I'm anadi mukta. You want to become a mukta, you can see me that way. You want to worship Krishna, you can come to me and you can realize Krishna. If you want to see me really as I am, you have to really understand the teachings of the Paramahansas and my own teaching. This is what Maharaj said. And then his Swarup would be understood. But not everybody was ready for that. That is why even in Shikshapatri, he put Sri Krishna Bhagwan completely ahead, and all the way through, because he's in the role of a devotee. It's not appropriate, it's not customary for him to just talk about himself. I mean, if he started doing that, that would be more on the Advaitic side, but he didn't want Advait Vedanta to be emphasized. He wanted to emphasize Vishishta Advait. So there's a lot of reasons why this was done like this. And then certainly, in the Shikshapatri itself, he gave his Agnya to the devotees to worship Sri Krishna, but at the same time he said, for further elaboration, Vistar, go to the Sampradaya scriptures. So that's an opening into who is Sajanand Swami. And that is pretty easy to understand that point. But my opinion here is that if somebody is wanting to worship Sri Krishna, follow Shikshapatri just like that, consider Sajanand Swami as a Sadguru, which many people on the outside of the Sampradaya can do. They can do that. They don't necessarily have to accept Sajanand Swami as that supreme being. They can worship Krishna, they can worship Brahma, they can worship Shiva, they can worship whoever they want. But if they follow Shikshapatri and then consider Sajanand Swami as a Sadguru, if they start that way, that's a very good place to start, rather than getting stuck in controversies and criticisms and crazy ideas that are being propagated now. It's a way of building a bridge into the Vachanamrut and into other scriptures. Who is Sajanand Swami? And then that's up to the individual and their relationship with God. So in a nutshell, I can say this, but I will be talking a lot more about Shikshapatri in these recordings, because there is a lot of controversy about that. One of the biggest questions is, Bhagwan Swaminarayan or Sajanand Swami has given clear, unequivocal Agnya to worship Sri Krishna. Many people say in the Sampradaya, Shikshapatri is Agnya Granth and Vachanamrut is Upasana Granth. Yeah, that's a perspective also. I'm not denying that. But the fact of the matter is that Shikshapatri does talk about Upasana also. And it is Upasana of Sri Krishna Bhagwan. So let's not forget that that's exactly what it says. Upasya Ishta Devo Naha. These are the exact words. So it says that in there. So that's a big controversial thing. Because people outside the Sampradaya, they ask, well, he's saying, that you worship Sri Krishna clearly, without any kind of distortion. Even he says, no one should try to distort the ideas and the scriptures to break the devotion towards Sri Krishna. It's that clearly written inside there. And I will be talking about that later. But just to say it right now, he has shown the importance of worshipping Sri Krishna, and those who want to worship Sri Krishna and consider Sriji Maharaj or Sajanand Swami as Sadguru, in my opinion, there's nothing wrong with that. That is 100% okay, because that is a place to begin. You got to begin somewhere, and that is the Shikshapatri is so beautifully written that it encompasses the entire Sanatana Dharma, and Sajanand Swami is in the form of a Sadguru writing that Shikshapatri. That is how the beginning can happen. to understand who is Swaminarayan, what is Swaminarayan, that happens later on. If they want to go into the scriptures of the Paramahansas and what the different organizations are teaching, that can happen later on. But the difficulty is that many organizations are pretty much telling people as time goes on that they don't worship Krishna, don't really. They're not really saying don't worship Krishna like that, but what they're doing is they're not worshiping Krishna. They're worshiping Bhagavan Swaminarayan, and then some other interpretations are also there. So that's a big question. Why are all the Swaminarayan devotees worshipping Swaminarayan when Swaminarayan himself or Sajanand Swami unequivocally has said to worship Krishna? You see this? This is a big controversial point. It's a massive controversial point, which we will pick up next time. Stay tuned. Thank you very much. Jai Swaminarayan, Jai Shri Krishna.